Another powerful earthquake has hit the Syria-Turkey border region. Rescue teams are once again deployed to find people trapped under the rubble. The magnitude 6.4 tremor struck just 2 weeks after massive quakes killed tens of thousands in Hatay province. While the epicentre of the latest earthquake was in southern Turkey, it was felt as far away as Lebanon and Egypt. Turkey's Interior Minister says at least 3 people have been killed and hundreds injured.
More anguish and terror for the people of Turkey and Syria. Moments after the new earthquake struck, shocked residents rushed to the streets for safety and to try and make contact with loved ones. Families clung to one another, relieved to be okay, but reeling with the shock and trauma of it all. All this just 2 weeks after the devastating earthquakes, which so far are confirmed to have killed at least 45,000 people. Some buildings severely damaged by those have now collapsed because of the latest ones. For many, the safest place to be now is on the street.
Same fear, same feeling of unease. We can't go inside. If we do, we can't stay. We don't know what to do. God have mercy on us. There's nothing to say.
People here know that lives can change in an instant. Here, a live TV interview dramatically cut short the moment the quake struck. In neighbouring Syria, the earthquake also forced residents to rush out to the streets.
Everyone started screaming when the earthquake struck. People were panicking and started crying and screaming, and were in shock.
This is a sad reality of life here now. People living on a precipice from 1 minute to the next.
For the latest, I'm joined by DW correspondent Dorian Jones in Istanbul. Dorian, even for those who escaped injury this time, this must have been an incredibly unsettling night.
Absolutely profound trauma, shock, fear for people that are already deeply traumatized. We're talking about a region of millions of people that were devastated 2 weeks ago by that double quake. Now this latest earthquake is just further adding to the deep trauma these people are suffering. Many are running onto the streets in panic, reports of people fainting, collapsing, and then coupled with reports of further collapses of buildings already weakened by the earlier earthquakes and the tragic story of people being trapped in those buildings. And this comes for people that are slowly or hoping that the worst was over, the aftershocks were slowly diminishing, but this latest new earthquake will add to the fear and the question in many people's minds, when is this crisis ever going to end?
Dorian, what do we know about search and rescue operations and now the renewed search for survivors?
Well, mercifully, there were still many search and rescue teams in the area. In fact, there was one team at the airport when this quake struck, and instead of returning back to their homes, they went back to the scenes to help in this latest emergency of finding people and getting people out of the building. So people were close on hand to help, and I think this certainly will help in their efforts of getting people out alive. But this will add some growing concerns over the fact that still many people were in these weakened buildings because there was not enough temporary shelter available. We're talking about the government emergency services having to house millions of people, and many people, because of the freezing winter conditions, were forced to go back into these weakened buildings, and some of them are believed to have suffered and been caught in the latest collapse from this latest earthquake. So there is going to be growing pressure on the emergency services to get more temporary shelter erected so people can be at least enjoy some relative safety in these difficult times.
It comes, as you mentioned, as the region was still reeling from those deadly quakes 2 weeks ago. What's been the effect on the clean-up and relief efforts from the first quake?
Well, I think, following this 2 weeks of emergency efforts, the emergency search and rescue was winding down. There were only a number of handful of buildings that were still being searched, and it was going into clean-up operation mode. Now, I think that has been suspended, at least temporarily, while they look for any possible people trapped in these collapsed buildings. But there will be greater pressure now to get the clean-up going, to get the buildings checked, to find out which ones can be lived in, which ones have to be destroyed and rebuilt. And the pressure will be on the government to stepping up the efforts to find shelter for 10 cities that have been devastated by these deadly quakes.
DW's Dorian Jones in Istanbul. Thank you.